Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 150 of Chilling3000 Hangouts. That's right, episode 150, which is a big milestone here on the Network 3000. Tonight, we are going to be doing a lot of great entertainment to give you here this evening, starting with our first of the two interviews tonight, Rich Fields, and also Jen will be later on in this episode as well. So, and of course, we have our Untitled Jackpot, which is going to be live here very soon after the first interview, and a lot more great guests are going to be coming up here this evening. So stay tuned, and I hope you all enjoy episode 150 of 2000 Hangouts. Enjoy. And here comes Rich Fields. Hi everybody, I'm Debbie here, and today I'm here with a very special guest on episode 150. It is the one and only Rich Fields. Come on down.
I like it. You've been practicing that, haven't you?
Yes. And now it's your turn, if you like.
To what? Say, come on down?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. David St. Dennis, come on down.
There we go. All right. In this interview,
I didn't know I was auditioning today.
well, you've done auditioning all your life for many things that will get into your stories. What made you become a super fan of The Price is Right?
Couple of different things. You know, Bob Barker, number one, I used to watch him on Truth, or Consequences. I used to watch him on that show in black and white when I was a kid. And so him moving to this new show, Price is Right, you know, and then they had all the girls in high heels. It was really hot. So as a young boy, you can see how you'd get sucked into that real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a bunch of prizes that can get, they can give away. And it's all nothing but excitement. That's the beauty of the program. It's nothing but excitement. There's no boring parts of the program, you know. And the next question I have here for you, what was your path of becoming the announcer of The Price is Right?
Say that again. What was what?
What was the path for you to be the announcer of The Price is Right?
The path?
Yes.
Oh boy. Like I say in my book, Trust Your Inner GPS. I trusted my intuition from a little boy. I just knew I was going to be Bob Barker's announcer on The Price is Right someday. It's what the book is all about, and how you can do this in your own life, how you can manifest dreams and destiny in your own life by listening to your own intuition. I mean, it talks to you all day, every day, but you know, David, rarely do we listen to it or take its advice. I mean, how many times do you say, even in a day, oh God, I knew better. Why did I do that? You know, oh, I should have, doggone it, I thought of that that's your intuition telling you, do it, don't do that. So you got to be able to read the signs. Ooh, that's the lyrics from an old 60s rock song. Do this, don't do that, can't you read the signs? Signs, 5-man electrical band, look it up, you're going to love it. Anyway, so I knew as a little kid that I'd be with Mr. Barker someday. So every step I took was with one question in mind, and that was, is this step going to get me one step closer to stage 33 and The Price is Right someday? Is taking this college course going to get me to The Price is Right somehow? Is going to this particular university going to get me the experience I need, the broadcasting experience I need to be the announcer of The Price is Right, Bob Barker someday? Is going to this new radio station, you know, I think I did 18 or 19 of them in my lifetime, different radio stations, town to town, up and down the dial. And or when I got into TV, is this TV job, is this moving to this next television station to be a weatherman with them, is this going to get me one step closer to Bob Barker and The Price is Right? So I took the path of broadcasting, because when I went to school, when I went to college in 1979 as a freshman, there was no, and I believe there's no college now that offers it, any kind of course or curriculum in entertainment. And that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to Hollywood and be part of television shows, and in particularly to work with Bob Barker at The Price is Right.
Oh yeah, so that was your dream goal in life, is to be Bob Barker. You know. Um, and what was some advice that you got down the road to your achievement of working with Bob? Like, did you get any advice during your college or
From other people?
yeah, before you got?
Uh, again, I talk about this in the book. You know, I told everybody from grade school classmates to the nuns at St. Mary's in Avon, Ohio in middle school, to college roommates, to every professor I ever had, to every colleague I ever worked with in radio or television, all before The Price is Right. I told everybody someday I'm going to work with Bob Barker at The Price is Right. I'm going to do game shows. I'm going to be on The Price is Right. You know, I'm going to work there. I'm going to, and so, not many of them, you know, there was no advice. It was more like, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. When one in before you know it, you were working with Bob, and that was a dream come true for you. You know, you worked for it all your life, and which it's not that easy for you to get that job because you went through a lot before you got that job. Like for example, here, my next question: you battled cancer twice before you got that job. What was like? What was that like, and how did you get through it?
Um, it's not fun. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. It started with testicular cancer, and then some months later, even a year or so later, maybe more, it turned into lower lymphatic cancer.
Yeah,
And two operations. So I wouldn't wish it on anybody, frankly. It's a lot of worry. It's a lot of strain, especially for a young freshman, sophomore in high school, junior, you know, and going through, or excuse me, college, going through college as a freshman, sophomore, you know, your first time you're displaced out of your house, you're in a brand new place, you know nobody. And you're chasing this dream. I'm chasing this dream of being a broadcaster and getting on The Price is Right. So it was a roadblock for me. It was an obstacle, but how did I get through it? I got through it by knowing, you know, that carrot that was dangling out in front of me, that my intuition was telling me someday you're going to work with Bob Barker. Get through this. Just bull through this. You know, every day, do what you got to do to get through it, and then take one more step closer to working with Bob someday. So it was day to day, month to month, CAT scans after CAT scans. And that was back in the day when they used to make you drink barium. I don't know if anybody remembers that or knows what I'm talking about, but you used to have to drink this liquid that would dye your organs. And that's how the CAT scan would show up back in the day. But that stuff was horrible. So I can't tell you, I mean, to this day, I can't drink Kool-Aid because that's what they mix the barium with, just so that you can try to choke it down. But you know, you just get through it day after day, and for me, the way I got through it was knowing what was laid out for me.
yeah, and I mean, I've been in the hospital many times. I've told you before. Um, you know, with all the heart surgery. I mean, they check you up, at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, like overnight. You don't get any sleep in the hospital, so it's very,
Yeah.
very
Wake up, Mr. St. Dennis, time to take your medication. I just got to sleep, for
yeah,
crying out loud. Oh, wake up, Mr. Fields. We need to take your blood pressure and stuff. I mean, come on, man. It's
I'm
on a
trying to
machine
sleep.
being recorded constantly.
Yeah, it's very annoying. And also, like regarding with sports, with all of these pictures getting Tommy John surgeries. I mean, who wants to do that? Getting checked out in the middle of the night just because of your elbow, getting hurt and all that. I mean, people make fun of them keep getting hurt, but it's just like they have to get checked out in the middle of the night a lot, and it's hard to sleep. You know. Uh, what was your reaction like when he got the job at The Price is Right?
I darn near fainted. I'll never forget it. I was chief meteorologist at KPSP in Palm Springs, California, and I had been through the audition process already with Mr. Barker and Roger Dobkowitz and the crew. I'd done 2 weeks worth of shows. I did a week's worth of shows, and I came back and did another week's worth of shows with another auditioner in between, maybe 2 auditioners in between. I don't know. But I had my suit and tie on. I was in the newsroom at CBS2 in Palm Springs, and we were getting ready to do the 6 o'clock news. And I had my little IFB in my ear so I could hear the director and so forth. And, jackets off, ties on. And I'm standing at my weather center, and there's a camera in the newsroom, on a pedestal. And it was automated at the time, remote, from the news or from the director's
Yeah.
booth. It was trained on me. And I think I heard the director say, "Stand by 5 minutes, everybody." And the phone rang on my desk next to me, and it was that line that's either the news director or your wife. It's that line that you don't give out to anybody except them. And actually, it was the news director's hotline, and I wasn't supposed to even give it out to my wife, but we all did. That was the way we knew our loved ones needed us. Cell phones weren't even a thing.
No, they weren't.
So I guess they were the flip phones. We had flip phones and stuff like that. But
I remember.
nonetheless, they all knew that we turned them off in the newsroom. And so to get us, they'd call this number. And so I answered the phone. It was my wife, and she said, "Hey, Roger Dobkowitz just called the house from The Price is Right. He wants you to call him right away. He's leaving his house at 6 o'clock. And I looked up at the clock on the wall, and it was like 4 minutes to 6. And I said, "Okay, bye." I hung up, and I called Roger Dobkowitz at his house, 1 ringy dingy, 2 ringing dingy. I'm watching the time, 3 ringing dingies, director's in my ear. "Stand by, everybody, 3 minutes, And finally, "Hello." I said, "Hi, Roger, Rich Field. Sorry I missed your call." He says, "Well, hi, Rich. How are you?" Roger just has this particular cadence and tone to his voice. It's so endearing. Whenever I talk about Roger, for some reason, I slip into what I think is his voice. I said, "I'm doing fine, Roger. I'm in a hurry." Roger's like, "Oh, he don't know that."
He doesn't know your schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think I said to him, I said, "Well, I'm just a couple minutes away from going to do the 6 o'clock news, Roger. What's up?" Trying to hurry him. He said, "Oh, I just was calling to ask you if you are interested in being the announcer of The Price is Right." And I said, "Yeah, well, of course, Roger. That's why I'm going through the audition process." I was clueless. I guess I was so flustered about time ticking away. It's 2 minutes to 6. And he said, "Oh, well, I'm offering you the job." David, have you ever fainted?
No.
Neither had I until this point, and I don't think I completely went out, because all of a sudden, it was like blood rushing in my ears. They kind of closed off. My vision started to, it was like black was closing in on the circle of vision that I could still see down to a little tiny point. My knees buckled, and I caught myself on my desk, and I inhaled, and all of a sudden my vision came back like right away. And I almost went to my knees. I almost fainted. And I caught myself on the desk, and I still had the phone in my hand. And I said, "Yes, Roger. God, oh my God, thank you so much. I appreciate it." I said, when do you want me to start?" And he said, "We're going to start shooting this Monday." And this was like on a Wednesday. And, I needed to tell the people at CBS2, I needed to, I needed to get a lot of clearance. I was under contract with this news organization, and they were all privy now to me auditioning for it. So I think they were ready for the possibility that I could have gotten the job, but I was still worried about that at the time. But to sum up the whole thing, I almost fainted when I found out I got the job.
That you're the next announcer of The Price is Right, and everybody cheered. Just an incredible story, and that was your dream job. And I want to also get this on my chest to those people that might be watching this right now. There's people out there who really enjoy their days off from work and all that stuff, And I'm just like, if you enjoy your days or you live for those Fridays or you live for those vacations, what about actually chasing for your dream job so that way you can actually enjoy that better and actually enjoy, the job that you've been waiting to get all your life? You know, do you have any advice for those who want to get, that dream job that they ever wanted?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, number one, a lot of people, David, unlike you or I mean, we both had a pretty clear path of what we knew we wanted to do, but most people don't know what they want to do. And I would say the first thing you need to do is talk to your intuition, talk to yourself, find out from yourself. Your intuition is your soul. It's the life force in your body that's trying to connect you with your path in life. You know what I mean? I almost said life path, but there's certain words that people are like, oh gosh, one of these metaphysical people, I don't want to hear it. I'm just telling you that your intuition will guide you to where you should be in life, where it knows that your soul and being and body should be in life, if you listen to it. So my advice is to find a quiet place and query your mind, query your intuition, query your soul. Say, hey, man, what is my ultimate goal in life? What is my ultimate dream in life? What is it? Bingo. It should come to your head right away. Honest to God, it should come pretty quick because it's implanted there. It's there. It's been there. It's nothing you're deciding. Trust me, it's there. And it was the reason why you were put on this planet.
Yes.
That's actually the name of my speech when I go out and talk. It's trust your inner GPS, how to find your purpose on the planet. And all you got to do is query your intuition and it will tell you, oh, singer, want to be on stage, God, I want to have my own farm and cows and milk and whatever. Whatever pops into your head, that's where you're supposed to be in life. And so how do you get there? Well, people say to me a lot of times, oh, Rich, you talked about these steps and stages to get there, but I'm in school. I've got an apartment to pay for. I've got a girlfriend with kids, or I got a wife and kids now. I've got a mortgage on the house. I can't just start. Yes, you can, by doing one thing every day that's going to get you one step closer to that ultimate goal in life. Send out one more email today. Make one phone call today. Send out one package of your information. If you want to be a singer-songwriter, send one MP3 out via email. Call one record company. Call one agent about representation. Call local radio stations around your town that play local or new music at late hours in the night when it's not so structured of a. There's stations in every town that do that. Just whatever your goal is, start doing one thing every day that's going to get you one step closer to that ultimate goal in life, and a timeline that seems almost impossible. Oh my God, 6 months, you're kidding me, a year, whatever, this is going to take me 3 years, because now some goals you got to go back and get education for or a degree for. So I understand that it's going to take some time. So what do? You make the call to the registrar's office and you start taking those courses. Start making a positive step forward every day, one step forward every day to your ultimate goal. And you'll find out that after a week, 2 weeks, David, you're doing 2-3 things a day subconsciously. You don't even realize it. When you lay down at night, you're like, God, I did all this today about getting there. And your timeline that seems so far away, just bam, and all of a sudden you're there. And whatever you have on you, whatever baggage or responsibilities you have on you, wife, children, whatever, during this process, this slow process of getting there, you will take them along with you. You will find a way to make them a part of it. I was single. It was easy. I knew I was going to make a lot of decisions that were going to take me to different markets, different radio markets, different television markets. And I was going to be uprooting and moving as fast as I could to get a station in Southern California, to be noticed on the air and on the radio, which I eventually did. I got a job at CBS Radio on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, 5 days a week, man, on the air in LA. Wow.
2 shows a day, right? For 5 days a week. That's how the schedule was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Usually, as many places, you got to do a weekend shift as well, like a Saturday afternoon or something like that. But nowadays, you do that sixth day uh, via voice tracking. So on Friday before you go on live, you go into the production booth and you voice track Saturday's 3 to 7 p.m. show. It takes you minutes, 15 minutes to voice track a 4-hour show. And then all of a sudden it's time to go on the air live on your Friday, and it's Q105. Hello, everybody. And you're on live. And then on Saturday, they don't even know. They don't even realize you're not there. So
what was the experience that was needed for you to get the job at The Price is Right?
needed, I needed a resume behind me. I needed to have many, many different jobs and things that filled in a resume as a broadcaster. And for me, and for the time, like I said, this is late 70s, going to college, early 80s. Every game show host that I did research on, from Bob Barker to Wink Martindale, all of them, nearly all of them had some kind of radio background
Yeah.
because radio was the thing of their day. So, television was just brand new, uh, kind of recently. So in their day, radio was the thing. Bob was doing radio shows, like live theater type stuff, or game shows, I mean, with live audiences. And this is all on the radio. So I knew radio was going to be the start. I mean, you just can't jump into TV.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you go the route of like TV news, which I did in college. So I got a taste of some of that on the college level, doing television weather and stuff like that. And so I knew I needed a bunch of different stations behind me. I knew I needed a bunch of different broadcast facilities behind me that I had worked for. And so that's as soon as I got out of college, it was, what radio station can I get, across the country someplace that's going to get me the closest to LA? I knew I was going to have to kind of work my way out there. I knew I wasn't going to get a job in San Diego or LA or like right away. So, you start accepting jobs at different places and moving,
Yeah. And that's when you ultimately became homeless as well. And that was a very difficult part of your life as well.
Yeah. Well, that was my choice, David.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like so many people right now, like through, the Gulf Coast of Florida that have lost their homes. You asked me before we went on the air here, how's it going with your house? This is a stock photo you see behind me, chroma keyed behind me, because we're still rebuilding. We're still rebuilding our house. The houses across the way that you see from me are destroyed right now. And so everybody's in the process of rebuilding their homes, and it was a horrible flood. Helene, September 26, 2024. I'll never forget it. Hurricane Helene flooded. We had a couple of feet of water, and that destroys everything in your home. I mean, I lost a lot of memorabilia from Bob and The Price is Right. A lot of things that were dear to all of us. But when a catastrophic thing like that happens, you just got to remember, hey, it's not you. This didn't just happen to you. It happened to everybody around us, all the way up the coast of Florida. Then it went into North Carolina, wiped those folks out who didn't see any help till just recently. So, and now we got the thing going on in LA. So, I mean, there's always going to be setbacks.
Yeah.
And it's not what happens to you. It's how you deal with it.
Absolutely. And you just gotta be thankful in life for what you have, and also the people that you have in life as well.
Yeah, yeah. And this event, this wiping us out here in Florida, was probably the most traumatizing event I think I've ever gone through personally, body and soul.
Wow.
I mean, hearing about cancer is one thing.
Yeah.
But this affected, my wife, who depends on me, and it affected our home. Every dollar we saved from The Price is Right, we knew we were going to buy Florida waterfront property someday, and Just so many things. And when a devastation like that happens, it's pretty traumatic. You're like, oh my gosh, look at all these homes underwater. Look at all these people. You know, when the water receded, then all of a sudden, you know, everybody's taking everything out of their house and putting it out to the street, and there was mounds, like mountains of crap. You know, refrigerators, washers and dryers, bedding, carpeting, wallboard, just everything being torn out of people's houses, just lying the streets for months here in Florida. And you know, you got to remember, it ain't just you. It's happening to everybody. So um,
LA,
yeah.
and I mean, I love everybody, and my prayers go out there to everybody. You know,
Yes, absolutely. All the good people of
are
all of
you
Southern California.
planning to like? I don't know if this is a good question, but are you planning to like next year to move to another uh, state? You know, during hurricane season, just in case if this happens again, or are you just going to stay in Florida?
Um, you know, my wife and I have talked about that. We're, like I said, we're in the process of rebuilding and remodeling this place now, but we've talked about that. I've got a really great friend, broadcasting friend and voiceover mentor. I hope he knows that I consider him that, but it's um, Jeff Lawrence, this guy you hear on the TV every night, and he lives in on top of a mountain in North Carolina, and he's got his own compound, his own property, and his own survival stuff that he needs. You know what I mean? So. Um, I'm not saying a survivalist property. I'm just saying that the mountains of North Carolina sound really appealing, you know, during the hurricane months. But who knows? Maybe now after the steering of the storm, you know, is pushed into North Carolina, maybe a more low-lying state would be better. I don't know, or non-coastal state might be better. But yeah, we've
Or
we've thought about investing in something like that. We've always talked about the summers are brutal here. They can be, I should say. You know, it can be into the 90s with humidity very high, and it feels way over.
I went to Disney World last August, and I'm not doing that again in the summertime. I'm not doing that again. It's very annoying with the heat, and you have to drink water constantly every day. You know. Um, but let's get back to some positive things here. What was it like meeting Bob Barker for the first time?
Oh, out of body, absolutely an out of body experience. It was my first audition. Actually, there was an almost meeting, and then there was like a real meeting, and the almost meeting happened on a previous taping day of The Price is Right when another guy was auditioning. They had me come in to watch this guy and the show, and
Yeah,
to understand what was expected of me when I got there. So, you know, they wanted me to watch his warm up and how he interacted with the audience or didn't, or whatever was going on there. So I was standing off stage right over by the producer's table. This is before the show, and the warm up's going on, and I'm all suit and tied. You know, I'm a weatherman from Palm Springs. I knew what they expected, you know, on the show, so I'm all dressed up, and
yeah,
and I'm watching this guy do his warm up, and I kind of heard some rustling behind me. There's a bunch of tables and a lot of prize signage and stuff back there, and I thought somebody was just in and out of drawers back there. And I turned around, and it was Bob Barker standing behind me, all suit and tied, microphone up, and he was fixing his tie, his purple tie that he was wearing that day. And he nodded to me, and I think I nodded back. I mean, I wanted desperately to say hello and tell him who I was, but I realized in a split second, oh my God, he's going to make an audience entrance today, and I
yeah,
guess it's going to happen now, or he wouldn't be standing behind me. Don't mess with him. So just, you know, smile and nod back.
yeah.
So that was really my first in person kind of seeing Bob Barker in the flesh. Then the following week, when I get there to actually audition for the show, it's the morning meeting backstage in the green room of The Price is Right, and it's the director there and all the stage managers and the models and myself and the producer and the associate producer and the AD, the associate director, and all these people, you know, you sit around a big table and you have a table read of what's going to go on, and the director talks about, you know, what camera is going to shoot what prize and what door behind what facade that opens up. Rich, this is when I want you to pause and cue here, blah, 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 this model, stand over here and reveal. So that all happens during these morning meetings, and that's what's going on. And when Roger Dobkowitz enters the room, and he kind of knocked on the siding of the door because it was already open. He kind of knocked on the side. He said, "Excuse me, Bart." Bart was our director, Bart Iskander. Bart, do you mind if I make a little interruption? And as he's saying this, he's walking in, and right behind him, Mr. Barker's walking in a white shirt with real thin blue and red stripes, blue jeans, white tennis shoes. He had his two suits for the day on hangers in suit bags over his shoulder, and he had his Cardinals duffel bag in his hand, and he came in behind Roger, and Roger said, "Can I pause, Bart? I wanted to introduce Rich to our host of our show. Rich, this is Bob Barker." And in my head, I'm thinking, no shit, Sherlock. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, how formal. I can't believe it. You know, look at it. And I'm standing up right away, and I'm putting Bob had dropped his gym bag and is already extending his hand across this table over one of the models' heads. And I stood up and I said, "Oh, pleasure to meet you, Mr. Barker." And he said, "Oh, pleasure to have you here, Rich. We hope you have a good time." And Bart or Roger right away says, "Well, I don't want to interrupt any further. You know, go ahead, you guys get." And Bob picked up his duffel bag and was walking out. And Bob said something like, "Well, have fun today, Rich." He's walking out saying this. You know, I'm back here, and he's like, "Have fun today, Rich." And I said, "I just hope I don't screw it up." And he stopped and he turned around and he said, "Don't worry if you do. Don't worry if you do." And I was like, wow, whew. All the pressure came off me immediately because, you know, they do a pickup after the show and pick up the announcer's lines. But to hear the host, the executive producer of the show, and, you know, 35 years on the freaking program, to tell me, "Don't worry," that was very comforting. And he meant it. I could tell he meant it.
Also, I forgot to mention this earlier. Before game shows, there was audience participation show before game shows in Bob Barker's time. And also, I believe you're the last person to say a Mark Goodson production. Am I correct?
That is correct. I'm the last guy to have said it on two different Mark Goodson shows. Pardon me. I'm the last guy. My in with The Price is Right, or my connection to The Price is Right, is having worked for Mark Goodson Productions myself down here in the state of Florida a long time ago during the Florida Lottery's Flamingo Fortune television show. It was a game show for the Florida Lottery, and I had they auditioned me to be the host. I didn't get the host job, but they hired me as the show announcer. And during that show, it changed from a Mark Goodson television production to a Goodson production. Mr. Goodson had died, and his son had taken over the company, and it was time now for him to just take off Mark's name and just say a Goodson television production. So I was the last guy to say it here in Florida on the Florida Lottery's Flamingo Fortune as it changed over. And when I got to The Price is Right, my first couple years, you know, well, I guess it was until Mr. Barker retired, right? And it was the first shows under the Fremantle banner.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. It wasn't under the first shows under their banner. I just mean it was the first shows where they were going to highlight now a Fremantle media production. So the season before, on my last show, was the last time that I had said, you know, a Mark Goodson television production. And I thought about that the day the pickups, because you read that once. I read a Mark Goodson television production. I read that one time the first day I auditioned, and it played for my entire tenure, 1,585, or not all because Fremantle took over, but it played all during that time that it was a Mark Goodson production. It was recorded. And so I never read it live in front of the audience at all. So that first day
Oh,
in the morning, just before rehearsal, they said, "Hey, we need to pick up the new tagline. It is now a Fremantle Media production. Stand by. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Rich, cue." And I went, "A Fremantle Media production," and that was it.
okay. And after Bob Barker retired, here comes Drew Carey. What was he like when you first met him?
Drew's like a big kid. He's jovial. He's happy.
I met.
I guess that means the same thing, but he's very gracious and generous with the staff. I mean, he was giving us he bought my wife and I and the models, a lot of people. I think the entire office, the entire staff of Price is Right. He bought us all our first iPhones.
Oh wow.
He bought us all Guitar Hero, Beatles Guitar Hero, we
The
Guitar
Wii.
Heroes. I mean, over the years, he'd buy something. You know, if he thought it was cool and it was brand new, he'd buy everybody one. And very generous guy, very gracious man.
I gotta save those pictures of me at the Price is Right for my Make-A-Wish trip. I gotta send you those after this show for you to check out. He's everybody at Price is Right was nice. Drew Carey was very nice. George Gregg was very nice. The Mo was very nice. Have you met George Gregg?
I have not. I've never met George. I was long gone before George ever got there. I
All
was
right.
probably already. Yeah, well, because days after Wheel of Fortune, announcing Wheel of Fortune, I was over at CBS News as one of their top meteorologists. So I was completely off the lot and out of there, working elsewhere by the time George got there. Because remember, the whole idea was for them to change the announcer of the show to be all the
Drew Carey's.
whose line is it anyway, guys.
Yeah.
And so they started rotating all these different guys, and it apparently just was a huge flop. And did you like that? I mean, I've never talked to anybody about it really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You liked it?
Yeah. Do I line this in a way? I seen a few clips of it. Mm-hmm.
When Drew had all his buddies announcing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And do you still talk to Drew to this day?
I do not. No.
Oh, okay.
Last time I spoke was texting, and it was Kathy Greco's birthday. Was it last year?
Okay.
Year before? Wow, how time flies.
Yeah, it really does. You mentioned Wheel of Fortune. What was that like getting the job?
Well, that was, and I think most folks know, that was birth by fire for me. I was working in my studio at our home in Beverly Hills at the time. It was late at night. It was 10:30-ish, 11 o'clock-ish. And the phone rang, and it was Harry Friedman, the executive producer of Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. And he said, "Hi, Rich, this is Harry Friedman, executive producer of Wheel of Fortune Jeopardy." I said, "Hi, Harry." I had never met Harry, never talked to him before.
Okay.
And I was thinking, how did he get my phone? I said, "Hi, Harry, a pleasure to meet you." And he said, "Well, I hope you don't mind. I got your telephone number from your agent, Fred Westbrook, who I just spoke with. And he said, I should give you a call." And I said, "Sure, what's up?" And I was perplexed. He said, "Well, I'm going to tell you something that not a whole lot of people know right now. Everybody's going to find out tomorrow morning. The news will be released, but Charlie O'Donnell passed away earlier today." I was shocked. Charlie was one of my idols. Johnny Olson, Charlie O'Donnell. I mean, they were the people that, I would listen to and go, "Wow, that's how to do it. Okay, cool." I wouldn't try to mimic their voice, but just their professionalism and the way they enunciated and everything, just really, those two guys really made a huge effect on my career. And so he said, "Charlie O'Donnell passed away." I was like, "Oh my God." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, I can't get into all that. Everybody will find out tomorrow, but I need to know, are you free and clear of The Price is Right?" And I was. And he said, "Okay." He said, "Will you come in and for the interim and announce shows on Wheel of Fortune for Charlie, who's passed away?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'd be honored." But absolutely. "When do you need
The
me?"
father idol.
"Absolutely." I said, "When do you need me?" And he said, "Tomorrow morning at 8:30. Sony Studios in Culver City. And I was like, oh my God, you know, in my head, I was like, oh my God. But right away, I was like, sure, sure. I've always learned, by the way, and this is great advice for anybody in life, say yes and be agreeable right away. You know immediately if you want to do it or not. Don't think out loud, gee, well, I wonder if I, or any of that, or, well, let me get back to, don't do that. Say yes immediately. I've lost things in life by not saying yes immediately.
Okay.
Or saying, give me some time, or let me speak with my wife, or let me talk with my agent or team. I've lost things because of that. So I've learned to just go, yes, immediately. Sure, you got it. Okay. And so it was that quick. It was that much a birth by fire. Charlie passes away one day. Next day, I'm at Sony Studios in the Wheel of Fortune Jeopardy Studios, and it was difficult. I'll tell you. Walking in there, the staff, by the way, had just found out that morning because the world was going to find out later that day.
Yeah.
And it was like death in there, David. It was. You could feel
Yep.
it. You could feel it in the air. Everybody was so down, and they all had to work. They all had to work that day.
Yeah. It's a very crazy coincidence for that to happen, unfortunately. And I bet, Pat and Brenda were very nice to you, like always,
Oh yeah, Pat and Vanna were very pleasant with me.
And
I can remember Harry Friedman showing me my dressing room, which was Charlie's dressing room, and they had taken all of Charlie's belongings out of it. And after I put my bags down and stuff, he said, "Hey, I want to introduce you to the hosts of our show, Pat and Vanna. Come on across the hall." And it was damn near across the hall, maybe down the way.
Yeah.
He knocked on Vanna White's door. I think it was this little star on it, said Vanna or something. And she come in, and Pat was in there sitting. There was more of a lounge area than the other dressing rooms. The stars, pardon me, they always have like couches and end tables and coffee tables and chairs. I mean, they look like real living rooms there. Their dressing rooms, but mine never looked that way. I mean, I did have a sofa, but anyway, nonetheless, Pat was in there as well, and they were talking about the day. They were talking about Charlie, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And Harry Friedman said, "I wanted to introduce to you Rich Fields. I told you guys that he was coming in today." And Pat right away stood up, and he was like, "Rich, welcome to the show." And I think the first thing he said was, "You're coming in under very difficult circumstances, and we understand that."
Yeah.
So right away, again, it was almost like the Bob Barker telling me when I told him, "I hope I don't screw it up," and he turned around and said, "Don't worry if you do, don't worry if you do." When Pat said, we understand that. You're coming in under very difficult circumstances, and we understand that. That really put me a lot at ease. I felt so much better because, I pride myself on being a professional, and a professional announcer. I'll announce anything.
Yes.
Even though they were two different styles. Price is Right is "Come on down," and Wheel of Fortune is "Ladies and gentlemen, Pat Sajak and Vanna White." Completely different reads, completely different deliveries. I knew I could do it. And
Which one was sorry to interrupt, but which one was harder to announce?
Harder? Oh, Price is Right by far.
Yeah.
Price is Right is a stack of copy. I mean, that you can see the script back there. That's actually the script, my script, the only script from Bob's last show, autographed by Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the script on Price is Right is really thick, and you have to read it quickly because they need the time for the show and to play the games. Reading the audience or the prize descriptions
It's live.
Is not premier to the show. You know what I mean? It's not the most important thing of the show. It's the host and the contestant and playing the game. So you got to be crisp, clear, clean, and fast. Quickly. You have to read it quickly. Not like, the speeding bullet quickly. It's got to be understandable quickly.
I think Price is Right is one of the hardest game shows to either host or announce.
Bob says in an interview, it's out there on the internet someplace. Google, why did Bob Barker pick Rich Fields to be the announcer of The Price is Right? And there's a video of Bob talking exactly about what we're talking about, how it's a stack of copy. You got to be crisp and clear, and he's got to read it quickly. This is all in there. And he says this is the hardest show in television to announce. And he's right. He
It's
wasn't
live
kidding.
tape too. It's
And Bob picked me. Yeah. Yeah.
it's all live. There's no. I mean, back then anyway, it was all live.
Right. Exactly. It was all live to tape, we call it.
Yeah.
And in the Bob era, the entire show was shot pretty much in real time. I mean, what you saw on TV was exactly how long it took us. There was no editing of Bob in the games, none, zero. Bob didn't put up with that at all. If there was a stop down of a 3-minute commercial break, well, in the studio, we would stop down for 2 minutes and 59 seconds, and the director would say, "Stand by, Bob, here we go." And Bob, "Rich, what's the next name on your list?" "Bob, it's going to be," and bam, we were right back to it.
Yeah.
So, and during that 3 minutes, as you well know from your visit, Bob's, he's talking with the audience and he's laughing and joking or introducing other famous people that may have showed up at that day's show. So it's amazing how quickly that show flies, or used to fly taping wise when Bob was there.
Yeah, and with Drew Carey, I was when I went to The Price is Right for the first time last month. At the beginning of the show, the window had trouble opening, so they had to stop tape, and then then eventually it was fixed. Very different. And then I was thinking, I wonder how Bob would have dealt with that back then if the window couldn't open.
Well, I'll tell you right now, during Bob's day, those things are checked and double checked and triple checked. When the doors are set up in the morning, the doors are all put into place, hung into place, and then they're pulled and they check, double check before the show, during rehearsal. I mean, that's the fault of somebody there that just didn't give a crap.
Absolutely. Have you announced like any game show backstage tours? Prices Right?
I did with Chuck Woolery. I did Love Connection live with Chuck Woolery.
Okay.
Before I've done, I did a pseudo version of The Price is Right, not that it was sanctioned by The Price is Right, for the Idaho Film Festival one year. But no, I was,
you did be a no deal, right?
The money's in television, David. The money's in television, so I didn't want to spend my time out someplace when I could have been in studio in the city, making a whole lot more.
I thought I saw on your website you did Deal or No Deal in some way before. Am I correct on that or no?
I did what?
Deal or No Deal?
Deal or No Deal. I did that in front of the talk about pressure. I did Deal or No Deal for the Television Academy live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was also a contestant, if you want to put it that way, on the live version of What's My Line?
Oh, nice.
in Hollywood. Actually, that day there were 2 guests. It was me and Al Yankovic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's a character, man. What a great guy. He is something else.
Yeah, very cool when we meet those people. Let me see. Try to think of, if you didn't get the Price is Right job, what will you be doing instead?
Trying to get the Price is Right job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a singular thought. It was a singular goal. It was tunnel vision to get there, and I wasn't gonna stop. Even after Johnny passed away and Roddy got the job, I was in no position to get it at the time anyway. I actually was so depressed at the time, because I knew I was maybe on my 2nd or 3rd radio station. I still wasn't quite to LA yet, was I? I'd have to look back at the year. What year did Johnny die? Do you know?
Not at the top of my head.
Me neither. And I'm sorry, I used to know all this, but anyway, nonetheless, I don't know where I was, but I remember thinking, oh God, I'm not resume ready to even get their attention to audition for this. There's no way. And Rod got the job, and I thought, oh my God, all right, buckle down, because anything could happen. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, after Rod's tenure there, he passes away. Then it was like, and here I was doing the Florida Lotteries for Bingo Fortune. I was not only doing radio and getting broadcasting experience that way, I was on television, doing the Florida Lotteries, the Flamingo Fortune show. So I was doing a lot of things to get there. And so when Rod passed away, I was on television out in Palm Springs as a weatherman. And I only took that job because I wanted to be close to LA to audition, and for game show jobs that would eventually lead to Price. But when Rod passed away, I made that phone call to Roger Dobkowitz at Price is Right at CBS Television City in Hollywood. And I said, Roger, you don't know me from a hole in the wall, but I'm a former Goodson employee. And he's like, you are? I said, yeah, I worked with Mark Goodson Productions in the state of Florida for many years down there. And I told him, I said, look, I understand, Rod's passed away and you need to do something about the position. If I can help out in any way, shape, or form, I'd love to submit. And he was like, well, let's hear what you sound like. That's where it started. Let's hear what you sound like. And at the time, people weren't sending out cassettes anymore. They were sending DVDs of their audio. And I said, what do you want to hear? Do you want to hear me doing the game show stuff in Florida? Do you want to hear me on the air and radio? And he paused a second. He said, a little bit of both. And so I did. I cut him a DVD of some stuff. I got on a script of The Price is Right, and I started copying. And I just watched the show and I just started writing down stuff like the ticket plug and maybe an item description and stuff like that one morning. And I went to a studio in Palm Springs, and I cut this demo for Roger. The radio stuff I just pulled off, stuck it on there, and I shipped it back to Roger in Hollywood, lickety split. So that's really how it began.
Johnny Olson passed away October 12th, 1985, according to Google.
Okay, 85, I would have been in LA already. I would have been at CBS FM, or one of its incarnations at the time. It was 5-6 different radio stations in the 10, 11 years that I was on the air there. Every time they would change formats or bosses would change, they'd change the staff, the on-air staff. And I couldn't believe it. They kept keeping me. I was there through, when I got there, it was KKHR, Hit Radio 93, KKHR. And then it became KNX FM, Mellow Rock for Southern California, KNX FM. And then after that, it became KODJ, Oldies 93, KODJ. And after that, it became, what was it after? It was the KCBS, I think. Oldies 93, KCBS.
Okay.
And when they finally changed to Jack FM, their whole thing was no disc jockeys. Boom. So after 10, 11 years there on Sunset Boulevard, 6121 Sunset Boulevard, CBS, Columbia Square, loved it there. It was the old Columbia Records studios, and where the Beach Boys and a lot of people recorded there. Beatles recorded there.
Before we promote your book, did you?
It's always a good time to promote the book.
Yes.
It's always a good. Go ahead. What do you got?
Before that, have you told Bob Barker the story on how we all know the story about how you met Johnny Olson, 18 years old. He told you to take the mic and say, come on down. Did you tell Bob Barker that story? And does he remember you doing that back then?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Bob knows of the story, but I wasn't the one that told him. It was actually Kathy Greco. And I remember this day. We were backstage at The Price is Right. I was very new. And I was speaking with Bob, or Kathy was there with me. I don't know how it happened. We had to ask him something. I don't know. And anyway, Bob said something. It was a pleasure here. The shows you've done, you've done a splendid job. Bob had a particular way of particular words that he used and a particular cadence that he used them. And I loved him for that. But anyway, he said, you've been doing a splendid job. And Kathy goes, well, do you know his story, Bob? He was here 25 years ago. Johnny Olson brought him up on stage as an 18-year-old kid to say, come on down. And Bob was like, you're kidding me. No, sir, it's absolutely correct, And when he took the microphone away from me after I said, Johnny Olson, come on down, he took the microphone away from me and he said, "Give me back that microphone, kid, before Mr. Barker hears you in back. Now go sit down." And Bob laughed. Oh, that's Johnny. That's Johnny. And I said, "Bob, when I'm going back to my seat, Johnny Olson actually said to the audience that I foresee game shows in that young man's future." Because I can remember that day, I was walking back up to my seat. It was like slow motion. I turned around. I couldn't believe my idol just said,
Yeah.
I see game shows in that young man's future. Very foretelling. I mean, just the whole premonition, just the whole trust your inner GPS thing, you know, what the book's about. Trusting your intuition. I was lucky enough as a little kid to trust it. And my whole life I did, like I said, I did everything I could to get there. If making the move or going to that radio station or taking that course in college wasn't going to get me one step closer to working with Bob Barker, The Price is Right, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I just did things that I thought would get me there, get me the experience that was going to get me there.
Yeah, and I truly believe, I was thinking about this the other day, I truly think that Johnny Olsen and Heaven helped Barker, make the choice for you to become the announcer of The Price is Right. And
well, you know,
spirits.
I kind of believe that as well. I mean, there are a few times, and I don't want to get all weird on you or anything, but I really felt auditioning, definitely during auditions. I remember one particular time, I really felt that Johnny and Rod both were somehow certainly guiding me in a manner of, calmness. Like I could remember like just this something telling me, "Hey, relax, man. You've got this." And it wasn't me. It wasn't my normal intuition. It was more of a feeling. No words in my head. It was more of a, "Hey, relax. You got this." And I thought at that time, and it's usually true, I thought, "God, is that Johnny or Rod? Wow, that felt good."
Yeah.
Thanks, man. And so there's a few times.
There you go. Here's your book right here. Go get the book that was released 2 years ago. I think it was right after Barker passed, I believe.
It was just before he passed. It was finished, and I was getting ready to send it to him to write the preface, and he had passed away. But
wow.
it's an easy read. It's available on Amazon, paperback and hardcover. You can get the audio version on my website, and I read it too. And people seem to like that one because it's me telling my own story and my own emotion and stuff like that. But you can get them all. You can get the books, the hardcover, paperback, audiobook. You can get it all at my website, richfields.tv, www.richfields.tv. Pick what you want.
Absolutely. Are you planning to get back into any form of TV or radio in the future, or just stay in retirement and not go back?
Planning on it? No, man. I'm 64 and retired, here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. The Gulf of America, by the way, Florida. And I don't plan on, but I retired once before. When I left Los Angeles after being a weatherman long after Price, I thought I was done then, and they dragged me back into radio. I started working at Q105 here in Tampa, and then that got me dragged into doing weather at the CBS affiliate here in Tampa. But no, I don't plan on it. I want to relax.
Yeah.
But hey, thank you for having me on, brother. I really appreciate you. Second time. God bless you. I hope your health and welfare, get better as the days wear on.
Yeah, it's been like over 10 years since actually 2018 since my last surgery. So I'm doing well. And also that letter that you sent to Bob Barker, I hope he got that letter.
You saw the letter online?
Yeah.
He did get it. I know he got it, but he didn't have a chance to respond, and I understood why. His capacities at the time were already quite diminished. There were people helping him. They would read letters to him.
Okay.
And there was certainly no writing back, and I understood that.
Yeah, and God rest Bob Barker and many other game show legends that's passed away recently in this decade, unfortunately. So that'll be it for this interview.
Are you ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? Then welcome to the Network 3000. We've got you covered with all of the variety of content such as our weekly programs like Chilling3000 Hangouts, the Popcorn Panel Podcast, Sports Shows Danny Sin, Breaking the Chains, and more. We also got the game shows, game plays, play-by-play reactions, blogs, and other fun stuff that you can only get here on the Network 3000. Subscribe today.
All right. Hello there, Danny. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. It's always great to hear from Rich Fields. And thanks again, Rich, for taking time out to talk to us. We really appreciate it.
Yes, and go check out his book. And definitely you will also be making a book in the next 10 years, hopefully.
I might.
It's called,
you might see my memoir in the next 8 or 9 years.
It's going to be called Danny Lewis, a book of YouTube drama.
It just might.
All right, let's play something or no deal here.
Yeah, we love Deal or No Deal over here.
Yes, and hopefully the screen will be more smoother. Let me see if I can. I've got to. We'll see what the jackpot is here. On.
Okay.
It's unfortunately I did not hear the audio. I don't know if you guys clicked on the audio button, but I did not hear the audio. Unfortunately. So producer, you may need to I don't know.
I don't hear
We
that.
have to refresh it.
Yeah, it's alright. Or is it?
Oh.
We'll see.
Well, we have to make this what's it called? More presentable. So yeah. So those
you may want to let it back in.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Yep.
Season 4 music.
Yep. All right. Here we go. There are 26 number cases on the Timberwest money side. We don't know what's in what case. We do not that one case holds 1 penny, but there's another
jackpot.
Yeah, we don't know what the jackpot is right now, but we do know that it's one of the let's see what the jackpot is tonight. 1.6 million.
Okay.
It was 1.5 million last time, and let's see if Danny can get this jackpot this time.
Okay. So all of it's multiplied by 1.6 for the most part. Oh my god. Oh, this is weird amounts. Okay.
Yep. All right. Pick a case, Danny, that hopefully has the $1.6 million, and hopefully you actually take the jackpot this time.
Oh, you never know. Okay, I'm gonna pick the year that we're in, number 25.
2025. Okay. Hopefully, in case number 25 contains $1.6 million. In order to determine what is in that case, we're going to open up the other 25 remaining cases up there on the board. And in those cases, it's not in your case. And we want to get rid of the small amounts the most as possible.
Yep.
So
let's go with Meghan Markle's case, number 24.
Ouch. Okay, 24.
Come on, let's go.
460. Okay.
Okay.
Boy, we definitely need that Melissa background story on this program in the future. You know?
Oh, she'd be great. Sure, I love Meghan Markle. Okay, let's go with number 5.
Number 5. Okay. Number 5 is
1.2 million. 1.2 million.
Alright. Let's go with number. Let's go with number 10.
Number 10. $1,200. Alright.
Okay,
Great.
let's go with number 21.
21. 21 is $8,000.
That's fine. That's
That's
fine. We can
okay.
get rid of that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's go with the case who the first Deal or No Deal contestant Karen Van had, number 8.
Number 8. Let's see what's behind number 8. $120. Okay. One more.
Let's go with a case that gave me some luck a few times I played this game. Number 20.
Some luck indeed. Yeah, right.
Let's see.
It's gonna have the jackpot watch.
Let's see. If it is, That's okay.
Nope.
That's okay. That's okay.
160,000. Okay.
You were close. Just one more zero.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
All right. Now let's see. What the first offer is tonight. Okay. But the banker tonight is Donald Trump.
Oh, good.
$39,000.
39 grand. Alright. Well, I could
So?
buy a lot of accordions. I could buy a lot of accordions with $39,000. But ask me the question.
Deal or no deal?
It's gonna be a no deal, David.
No deal. Okay. All right. Now for the second round, you have to open 5 cases.
Okay. Let's go with number 3.
Okay. Number 3 is $8. AKA Jones IQ. Oh, wait, what?
I agree.
4 cases.
Let's go with okay. Let's go with the unlucky number 13.
13. Okay, let's see what's behind number 13. $80.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go number 18.
Number 18. Let's see what's behind number 18. $40.
Very good.
Okay. 2 cases.
Let's go with Sweet 16.
Well, wasn't a sweet number for my age for 16, that's for sure. Alright. Alright. 600. No, it's 800. I'm sorry. It's just to 1 case.
Let's go with number 19.
Number 19. Let's see what's behind number 19.
That's fine. That's
$120,000.
fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Tell the folks how old are you again, Danny?
23.
So that'll be the
would that be the case that is one of the 2 cases left in play? We'll find out. Alright. The big offer is $51,000. You still have some good 6-figure amounts left on the board there. So the question is, deal or no deal?
I'm gonna have to say no deal.
No deal it is. Okay, no deal. And now, for this round, you gotta open up a total of 4 cases before the next bank offer. What is your first pick?
Alright. Let's go with number 1.
Number 1. Let's see what's behind number 1. Oh, we're not gonna have a millionaire tonight.
No, we won't.
So the Jackpot Mr. Series goes on for this Friday night.
Alright. Well, let's try number 23.
23, okay. Your current age?
Yes.
Alright, 320. Two cases.
Let's try number 7.
Alright, the case I always pick. Let's see what's behind number 7. Ooh,
That might be bad.
that was not a good pick right there.
No.
Drink 20.
Alright. Let's see. Let's go with number 14.
14. Okay, let's see what's behind number 14. That's anything but 800K. Not quite what we wanted. Looks like this game is going down the hill, but hopefully in the next round we will go back up.
Yeah.
Let's see what this bank offer is. $51,000. 3 cases in the next round.
Well, that's not very good.
No, it's not. You still have a safety net, though.
That's correct. Ask me the question.
Deal or no deal?
No deal.
Good, no deal. Alright. Like I said earlier, 3 cases. And here we go.
Okay. Let's go with number 26.
Number 26. Okay, let's see what's behind number 26. $1,600. That's what I wanted to see. I want to go back up.
Oh, yes.
2 cases.
Alright. Let's go with number 15.
Let's see what's behind number 15. $150. One case.
All right, let's go with. This is scary now. Let's go with number 12.
Number 12. Behind number 12 is $160. 1.60 or whatever.
$1.60 more like.
Yes. Would that be the last case that he's picked in this game? We'll just have to see. I couldn't see the decimal point there, that's why. And the bank offer is $120,000. You will see this type of bank offer if you knocked off,
That's true.
one of those two six-figure amounts. So you want to play safe right here? Deal or no deal?
Nah, I feel like gambling, so I'm gonna say no deal.
No deal. No deal it is.
All I gotta do is keep the safety nets.
Yes.
Alright. Let's go with number 4.
Number 4. Number 4 it is $8,000.
Alright.
One more case in this round.
Okay. Let's go with number. That's tough. Let's go with 17.
17. Come on with Penny.
All right.
40 grand.
That's
Hey.
great.
By the way, folks, we may have to go overtime here for the next interview, which was scheduled for 8:20, but didn't know this game will take longer, so we will just do that for 8:40, 8:45 or 8:50. I don't know. Alright, let's see what the offer is. Is the game frozen or something?
It better not.
Oh no. Come on, producer. I didn't click on anything, so this will clear up. I mean, this was. Damn. Sorry about the difficulties, folks. I don't know exactly what happened here, but hopefully the computer didn't crash. And well, you know what? Let's take a commercial break right here while we wait. And let me see where the network promo is. Just give me one moment. Alright, we'll be back after these words.
You ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? Then welcome to the Network 3000. We've got you covered with all of the variety of content such as our weekly programs like Chilling3000 Hangouts, the Popcorn Panel Podcast, Sports Shows Danny Sin, Breaking the Chains, and more. We also got the game shows, gameplays, play-by-play reactions, blogs, and other fun stuff that you can only get here on the Network 3000. Subscribe today.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Red Popcorn Live Stream. Tonight, we are going to be showcasing wonderful products such as Hangouts Lasagna, Green Coaster, a Matt Tonight Matt, Andrew Hawkins Kingdom Chicken, Happy Gilmore, WKC 69, and the famous Andrew Hawkins Naturally Stone Yo. And now, here's yours, the stars, David 3000.
I don't hear you if you're talking.
Unfortunately, we have some sad news to report that the game has fucked off. But the good news is you have a second chance to get go for the jackpot at another time. So we will tape this sometime sometime this week for either the Friday night show or the Sunday show. So you'll have your second chance coming your way. Good thing the jackpot was, huh?
Can I abstain? Can you get somebody else?
Well, we'll see what happens, Danny. Okay. So let me get the interview up with Jen here.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to go. So we'll see you later.
All right. See you then.
Bye.
All right.
And congratulations on 150 episodes.
Thank you very much. All right. Now let me see if I can. I know I have the interview here somewhere. Okay. Let's take another commercial break right here, shall we? While I look for the interview. So be right back.
You ready for the ultimate entertainment experience? Then welcome to the Network 3000. We've got you covered with all of the variety of content such as our weekly programs like Chilling3000 Hangouts, the Popcorn Panel Podcast, Sports Shows Danny Sin, Breaking the Chains, and more. We also got the game shows, gameplays, play-by-play reactions, blogs, and other fun stuff that you can only get here on the Network 3000. Subscribe today.
I do a podcast where sends to my email so I can talk about your story here on this. Hi everybody, I'm Debbie here, and today I'm here with Jen. How are you doing, Jen?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I believe I found you on Facebook group where you've been promoting yourself to be a guest on other people's shows, and I thought for the next 20, 30 minutes here, it'll be a good idea to talk about your story here on this program. So let's get things on the way. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, do you want the whole story or what would you like to hear today?
Just the important stuff of the story. That'd be good.
Sure. So a lot of people responded to my post. I grew up in a small town called Sonoma in California, Northern California. And I grew up in a very resonating childhood. My father was a Vietnam vet who suffered from PTSD.
Okay.
And I was the pain point and center of his pain and suffering most of my childhood. Ended up living on my own at 15, couch shot my way through
Wow.
high school, 8 different homes, had my daughter at 18. At the age of 19, I ended up in the automotive industry. And back in the 90s, it was still very much what you hear and the rumors and the things that people talk about. It was a very rough and tumble career. In the automotive industry, however, I did stick it out and I pushed through and I pioneered the way for a lot of women, but I also created and developed many sales processes that are used today with the emphasis on relationships and integrity of sales. And I pushed through that, pushed that forward, and I ended up starting a State Farm agency from scratch back in 2015. And then after that, I hit a place in my life where I realized I had been surviving for a very, very long time. And we tend to lose our identity. We lose track of who we are, where we go, when we don't have mentors or clear guidance. And I was on my way to Hawaii one day. And on my way to Hawaii, I ended up having all kinds of pain. And I couldn't figure out what the pain was. Yeah. And this was October 3rd of 2017. And by October 9th, the pain was so severe that I decided I needed an ambulance. And so I was on my way down to the front desk of the hotel to have them call an ambulance for me. And my phone started blowing up and it wouldn't stop ringing. And so I ended up answering it, fuzzy headed and couldn't see straight. And this woman was screaming into my phone and she said, "Jen, where are your parents? We can't wake them up. Where are your parents? The cars are in the driveway." And I'm in Hawaii. I have no idea what they're talking about. And the next thing she yells is that the fire is in their backyard. So it was the same night that the mass fires started in Northern California, the Tubbs fire and the Nuns fire. So needless to say, adrenaline kicks in and I suddenly got my bearings and all my family's there. And then I find out the fire is going through the entire town, much like what's happening in Southern California right now. And my daughter was there and I could not reach anybody. So found out later that they were evacuated and they were safe. And then the next day I collapsed. And I woke up in the morning, the doctor standing over me and he said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but it's time to get your affairs in order. We're trying to make the calls, trying to get to your family. We think that you have approximately 24 hours to live, and in your condition, it's about a 2% prognosis."
If I may interrupt, what was it like being told that you had 24 hours to live?
So I had just suffered a massive bilateral pulmonary embolism. And what happened to me in that moment is the immediate reaction was that I absolutely flipped out. And apparently they had to sedate me because I was screaming, I'm not effing going out like this, like really loudly. So I had a total moment. And then what I realized, shortly after that is that when I went under the first time, I did see the other side. And so I had an entire experience with that. And when I came back to, some things were very clear to me. And in that moment, what I realized is what really mattered and what didn't. When you're told your time is up and you have no more time to make changes or do things differently or make amends, the only thing I thought about in that moment that I would leave this lifetime without having done is the relationships. The ones I didn't nurture, the ones I didn't create, the ones I didn't forgive or repair, especially with myself. And there's nothing more important in this lifetime than the relationships that you have or that you repair or that you create and nurture. And that's all you take with you in the end, are those things, whether or not you have regrets and a full heart. And so, so for me, it was a very pivotal turning point. The fact that I'm here is a miracle. They still can't explain it. I did calls with the American Lung Association, Heart Association, but I know I'm here and I know what I saw on the other side. And so coming out of all of that, it's been a purpose and a mission to really help people. And that has morphed over time. There's something I called survivor's burden. And people don't talk about what happens to you after a near-death experience like that and the mass depression that you can fall into and absolute confusion of identity and what you're supposed to do and where you belong. And so that was a big deal. And I had spent, almost 18 years in automotive. So I have either been a confidant to, a feminine counterpart to over 1,000 men. So a gift that I have is the ability to work with and help men on a different level than a lot of other people can. And that's been something I've been guided to do. So right now I work a lot with men midlife that are going through identity crises, have thought about burning it all down. They are trying to separate from generational ties and obedience and all those things and become better fathers, husbands, leaders, partners. And that's my focus. But really, it's all about helping people, no matter where they are in their life right now, that are confused or stuck or drowning or whatever that looks like, suffering in silence, and showing them ways out, because that's the one thing I learned how to do. So in a nutshell, that's me.
What was it like living on your own at 13 years old?
It was a lot of things. One, it was a lot of anger for me, because I felt completely abandoned. I was, kicked out of the house by my father. I was a straight A student, Letterman athlete, did nothing wrong, but he suffered bouts of paranoia, was part of his PTSD. And so that was a big one for me, not knowing how to stand. I was 15 years old. I didn't, I had to babysit and buy my own things for a long time, but there's nothing like having the people you're supposed to trust turn their back on you and not be there. So what happened was I always felt like a burden, when I was in people's homes. It was mixed, because it was like, it felt good that somebody would take me in, my friends' parents, but at the same time, it always felt like I'm another mouth to feed. And so it was really hard. It was really, really hard. And there were times, where I would stay with people just because I didn't have anywhere else to go, and it wasn't somebody I necessarily liked. So sometimes there was this weird tension. So yeah, it was rough. It was really, really hard. It took so much resilience and a lot of numbing, to be honest with you. I had to really numb myself to a lot of the pain I was feeling.
And how many years? You've been living on your own ever since, right? I meant to say.
I'm sorry, say it again.
You've been living on your own ever since, correct?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever felt like anything spiritual, feelings like from heaven or whatever, like any spiritual thoughts or seeing spiritual things?
Yes.
Sense. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I've always known that I had some special gifts since I was a very young child. Those types of things were not allowed to be talked about in my home. It was all evil or wrong, whatever you want to call that. And so I learned a long time ago to shut it down. When I broached the other side, though, it's kind of like it cracked open Pandora's box. And so I do have gifts of clairvoyance. I'm very intuitive. I can see people on a very different level than most people can see them. I call it on a soul level, cellular level. I can read people's energy very well. So if I'm sitting in front of a client, I can actually see and feel what's really going on beneath the surface versus what they are aware of. So that's another part of it. And messaging. I do get messages, and I do get very clear information for people. It's not like future telling or any of that kind of stuff. I don't do anything like that. But this is really about the fact that we're all connected and all part of energy. And whether you're going to the other side or you're here, it is all connected in different ways. And so I don't know if it's more because I actually was there and had that touch, or that I just had the gift and that kind of just, expanded it. But if I'm sitting in front of somebody, I can absolutely receive direct message for them.
What made you get into coaching?
Sorry?
What made you go into coaching?
Go into coaching? I have such a life of experience and expertise in many different areas and facets. And, running dealerships for almost 20 years and creating my own businesses, and people are my passion, developing people. And I just, it just seemed to be a natural fit, and one of the messages I receive very loudly, whether you want to say it's from God or spirit or power, whatever people's preference is that when I came back, it was very clear that I had a choice when I was on that side, that I could pass through or I could come back. And when I made the choice to come back, it was very much with a very distinct message and mission, which was to be a messenger. And that messenger is to be able to take what I have in my gifts and help people through. And kind of the idea is that the way I explain it is I don't believe there's any pain greater than dying full of regrets. I really don't.
Yeah.
I mean, the embolisms I had, the pain on a pain scale is like through the roof. And I would take that pain any other day, every day, than feeling what it felt like to be told my time's up, and I had nothing that I could do or change.
Yeah.
So the coaching was a natural fit. And I use the word coach lightly. It's really like, I'm a guide. I have a solution for most things that people go through. But for me, it's, I look at it as I focus on relationships and connections. That's my specialty with people. So
Okay.
that's where it starts. Yeah.
Any advice for those who are going through a days struggle like you are?
Yeah, absolutely. You talking about emotionally or in life, just in general?
Yeah, and also like trauma and
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that I would leave people with is that when two different things, but if it's like a midlife, people call it crisis or crossroads or difficulty finding direction. If we start changing our perspective and our wording, right? If we focus on solutions, not problems, and we start saying things like it's a midlife awakening rather than a crisis. When it comes to trauma, this was an experience that you were meant to have, even though it was horrible in a moment. What is going to blossom from this experience? And we do create the experience we feel. So, if somebody's in this place of trying to rise from some traumatic event,
Mm-hmm.
then really it's about identifying and getting clear on what it is that you truly want. What do you want?
Yeah.
And the other part that's very difficult for people to grasp that is necessary is what part of the old version of yourself and your old identity are you actually willing to let go of to move forward? And people like to hang on to this thing, right? An old story or an old version of themselves,
Yeah.
and it no longer has a place. And so that's one of the biggest disconnects that people have is it's time to reinvent. And you're not actually reinventing. It's time to actually just become who you were born to be in the first place.
Absolutely. Always be yourself and all that good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Any other interests or hobbies that you have?
I have a ton. Yeah.
Would like to explain?
Yeah. I mean, I love everything from the creative side. I love writing. I love creating content and videos. I love golfing and cooking and collaborations. I'm a big networker. I love to bring people together that can help each
Yeah.
other. Love animals. I just rescued a dog who we're going through an incredible health crisis with at the moment. But
Okay.
yeah, I have lots. Mhm.
You like watching other sports?
I do. I like baseball. I like football. I like basketball.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a
the
diehard.
Celtics,
Not a diehard by any chance.
yeah, Celtics champs,
Oh, nice.
Uh,
Love
yeah.
it.
You like watching any game shows or other TV shows as well?
I was actually on Wheel of Fortune and I won.
Oh wow,
Yep.
really?
Yep. Back in 2015. That was really fun.
What was Pat Sajak like with behind the scenes?
Nice guy. Nice guy.
Yeah.
He's really short. It was interesting because I'm tall. I'm 5'10". And so
Okay.
when you go behind the wheel, they have all these platforms. And so you're
Okay.
not allowed to be taller than him. So they have to raise you or lower you based on height. So that was fun. Vanna White was, she was really amazing, super sweet. And she has a little thing. So when she would come in the dressing room, she'd come and say hi before every show. And her thing is that she always eats peanut M&Ms before she goes out on stage.
Wow.
Of all things, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. And I did not expect game shows to be part of this conversation. I did not know that you were advertising on Wheel of Fortune, but that's very cool. And how much money that you won, if I may ask?
I won about, I think it was $13,000, and then I won a trip to Costa Rica. I won the trip.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like a rule that you have to wait 10 years to be a contestant again, or?
So supposedly Wheel of Fortune is only once in a lifetime.
Oh, okay.
I think each show has their own thing. I'm not positive. But
Price is Right is like 10 years.
I think Price is Right is 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's very cool that you were able to go on Wheel of Fortune, and now it's time for you to be on Jeopardy. Oh wait, no, that's very hard. So.
Oh yeah, Jeopardy would not be my game. I would tank Jeopardy.
I just don't know how with Jeopardy, I don't know how
they come up with these answers to these questions that are reversed, because they're answering an answer of that question. It's the complete, or a question to that answer. I'm sorry, it's the complete opposite. It's crazy. What are your goals for 2025?
My goals for 2025 is actually to get my podcast up and very very successful. That's a big one for me.
Okay.
Get back on stages again, and really launch my project From Depths to Dreams. My goal for 2025 is to impact 11 million in 11 months to make great
Wow.
change. Yeah.
That's very cool. And what is your podcast going to be called?
From Depths to Dreams.
Okay.
From the depths to dreams. So it's from the depths of the darkest places in your life. And it's people's real comeback stories of people that were absolutely at the brink or have tried to give it all up and made it all the way back. And they talk about their entire process.
And it also can be about, people trying to explain their goals as well with life and their interests as well. Is that also what that show's going to be about too? Or
So the idea is that there's so many people out there listening and they're sitting alone somewhere, right? They're sitting somewhere alone behind a computer and they are suffering and they have no one to talk to, or they don't know what to do, or they've never had guidance, right? So when I bring people on this show and we talk about their real life true story, they talk about where they were, which is going to be exactly where so many of these people are right now. So they're going to hear the story, but they're going to hear themselves in the story because they resonate so much. And then this person's going to say how they went from where where these people are, and how they rose to their version of success. So whether it's business or life, or they found love, or they didn't off themselves, or whatever it was, there's so many different variants. But that's what the show's about, impacting 11 million. Mm-hmm.
And what is the schedule going to be like for the night podcast?
As far as show times and things like that?
Yeah.
We're still working on the launch. We'll have that in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Where can people find you on social media?
My social media, easiest place, best place right now is Facebook, Jen Crowe.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're launching YouTube right now. So that will be right behind it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
for LinkedIn and IG and all that, but those are the big ones.
Yeah. And no TikTok. That's going to get banned soon. So.
I have TikTok, but it's going to get banned, and that's kind of like my fluff place anyway. It's the playground.
I never installed TikTok, and I never will. It's a waste of time at the time. But anyway, that'll be it for this segment. You can stop.
All right.
You can stop there. Oh, there we go. And let me bring Chris Mason. How are you doing, Chris?
Hey, I'm fine. How you doing, David?
Doing good. Let me actually highlight some of the comments here of people who have came in to say hi. If I can, let me actually do it on this computer over here. Hello to Dom, JK, the Price Right Fan 2025, William, who else who stopped by so far? Jihad, Alex Wool, Jesse, let's see, I think I mentioned Dom. I'm just trying to scroll down fast here to make sure. Of course, Danny stopped by, Rob Johnson, and also Troglio. I can't pronounce that last one, but hello there. Oh, we have another guest coming on. It's Nihar. How are you doing, Nihar?
Good, thank you. How are you?
You're welcome. Hello, Nihar. This is my friend Chris over here. So we're just having a little fun here. Just here on the special 150th episode. So I just wanted to check in with both of you first. First, Chris, how you been doing recently? Oh, that was here. Is that? Oh, that's coming from Nihar, the music. How you been doing, Chris, recently?
Recently, doing pretty good. I always say any day above ground is a good day. Not too shabby for an old man on my end, but I'm feeling pretty good.
That's good. And what about you, Nihar? As you, if you can turn off your background music,
Yeah,
how you been doing, Nihar?
I've been good. Thank you.
Great. We have another guest coming in as well. It's Rob Johnson. How you doing, Rob?
Hey man, what's going on?
Doing good.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Gotcha.
Yep. So today on this episode, we're just celebrating the 150th episode of this program. Very happy to get to 150 episodes. We have House of Chayton. Yeah, you're at work. Yeah, you're at a Spurs game. I assume so. So let's talk a little bit about the old days of technology here, just for fun, Sally, because this was a question I was going to ask Chris Bass here on the interview we did just a few episodes ago. So, Chris, what was your favorite memories of old technology before I ask the others?
The great thing about technology is that back in the day, for me, we didn't have this at all. Not at all. All you had pretty much was, of course, radio and television and periodical when it comes to newspapers and magazines. And so I would have killed for this back in the day because, again, you're able to establish your own content, your own page, and developing your own following. So myself had worked in radio for now, at the time, a terrestrial radio, the brick and mortar building. If you got fired, that was it, unless you went to another radio station, got hired. But if you had social media, you could continue your content if you was to be let go, or do both at the same time. So technology today should be really relished and appreciated. And this is nothing to the standpoint of it can get better, because it can. It's a standpoint of what you can do with the content and go forward from there.
Do you want to add anything onto that, Rob, of what referring to Chris said?
Technology has become better over time. You have to definitely adjust, especially if you are in the media field, because that's what we do. We adjust. You have to adjust, and that's not just the every year process. That's a day-to-day, month-to-month, second-by-second process with technology. Everything changes. So back then, maybe like 10 years ago, you had to work hard to, get something off YouTube, to do some music, or do a video or something like that. They make it easier now, but you have to adjust to copyrights, things like that. So everything changes. So sometimes if things get easier, it makes the competition harder. So that's the thing about technology. Everybody has to realize it. Things make it a little easier, but the competition gets even harder because everybody's doing the same thing. How do you separate yourself from the next?
You want to add to that, Chris?
No, Rob is absolutely correct. When you look at the landscape of technology, what makes you different from somebody else? And I think the answer is simple. You are different from somebody else. The key thing is to embrace your difference and make it work for yourself. You don't want to sound like anybody else. You want to be like anybody else. I think you can use somebody as an example. For example, if you admire somebody in a particular field, you use them as a blueprint, but don't become them. Use them as a blueprint to become yourself and form your own blueprint in time.
Yeah, you don't want to become somebody you see on television, because things that are done on television isn't the same that's going to be done on your platform. Things are done on television because they have blocks, they have scripts, scripts that we will never ever see. So that type of stuff is coordinated. It's they know what they're doing. So as far as that goes, so make sure you stand out and make sure that you're doing something that is not emulating what they're doing, because everything's different.
Absolutely. So what decade you were born in, Chris?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What decade you were born in? Like what decade?
I'm sorry. It's my fault on my end. I can hear you. Say that again real slow.
What decade you were born in?
Decade? Oh, Jesus. Let's go back and dust off the calendar. So I was born in 1967.
67. Okay. What about you, Rob?
The 80s, Reaganomics.
The 80s. Okay. So let's go into discussing about TV here. So you were born in the 60s, Chris. What do you
67 going
remember
to the
about
70s, pretty much 70s and 80s for me.
70? Yeah. Hello there, Nihar. Once again. So about television, what do you remember about like when you first discovered television? What was that like for you? I will start with Chris.
Television was pretty basic. When you look at the standpoint, because again, you're looking at growth, of course, how to make more revenue and things of that nature. So, entertainment-wise, in the 70s, you probably had a lot of detective shows during that time. You had Columbo and Starsky and Hutch and shows like that that were changing the landscape because variety shows, the 50s and 60s, were becoming downplayed and eliminated altogether. So the next format that was working was detective shows. So that was the flourish I saw in the 70s, going back in hindsight. And then you look at the 80s and 80s, well, all different. So whatever stirs the market, whatever stirs the eyes on the screen from a TV perspective, this is what they had, of course. So as long as you look at the 80s, for example, and this is way before the stuff that he got into, Bill Cosby on NBC. Bill Cosby changed the landscape because he had what?
Yeah.
The Family Show. The other networks are to copy their own versions of their own family shows and things like that. Why? Because the genre was popular. So whatever genre was popular during that time, that's what happened.
What about you, Nihar? When you what decade you were born in, Nihar? Like the 90s, right?
Yeah, 1994.
So what do you remember about technology back then as for TV? And you were growing up in the era where it was after video games had started to become a big thing.
Yeah, I had the I just remember like what I had. I mean, most of the stuff I had, I guess, was I guess it won't be 1994. It'll be more like 2001, 2002, something like that. So I remember getting the Game Boy Color for Christmas of 2001. And
Okay.
I had this big like CR TV in my bedroom when I was younger, and I had that actually maybe just a few years until before we moved into this house. So that would have been like, I don't know, 2001, 2002, all the way maybe to like 2000. I'm going to say we probably stopped using it in 2010, and then we actually got rid of it in 2016.
Okay.
But I just remember like those big CR TVs, and then I think me and my sister went to this like daycare when we were really young, and they had the N64. Again, this was probably also like
N64,
2000, 2001, something like that.
Okay. And what about you, Rob? You were pretty much born around that.
Yeah,
that time.
80s,
I was
90s.
born in 1994, but we didn't really like using all. We weren't like really using all of this stuff until like 6 years later. So.
Okay.
I would say for me, yeah, it's one of those eras. It was one of those funny eras because, middle 80s, you're starting to talk about 24-hour news. And then you're looking at, this is the era of action. You're looking at Jerry Springer. You're looking at, like you were saying, Chris, just about the type of just the type of TV where people wanted action. You had the rise of and it's kind of crazy because you look at the 80s, and you look at today, that was like you were talking about the Cosby Show. That was the rise of some good, intelligent Black television. And you look at now, and it's like, 30 years later, and it's kind of decreased a little bit now. I give credit to the Irrational shows like that. Shows I absolutely love because I call those 90s like shows, and hopefully they continue. But those type of shows, like the Cosby Show, you had Martin, you had a lot of great shows. And the good thing about the 90s television is that we all watched the same thing and we didn't judge. It was just everything which is fun television. Like, I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. I love Seinfeld. Like, everything was good. Everything was wholesome back then. To your credit about the televisions, like back then, you had people want the big, huge televisions, and they were so big. And now you look at televisions now, they're not even that big. People absolutely used to go crazy for televisions. Now you just go to Walmart and whatever, Who cares? Black Friday, let's get the TV. Now it was just like, oh, okay, so TV, who cares? So yeah, that era was definitely will never be duplicated ever again. The late 80s, early 90s, middle 90s, not only from a technological standpoint, from just an entertainment standpoint, you'll never see those days ever again. If we do, we'll be blessed. But no, from the talk shows, all that, no. We'll never see that again. Daytime television, etc.
Yeah, you can respond to that, Chris.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. Especially the talk show era. Everybody and their mama and dog had a talk show back then. I mean, you got Geraldo Rivera, Jerry Springer,
Ricky Lake,
Sally Jesse Raphael. You can go on and on. Even Tempest Bledsoe from the Cosby Show had a talk show, and that stunk to high heaven. No offense. So it was not a good program because it was cheap to make. All you had to do was pay the host. He or she give them the contract, and everybody else a peripheral. So it was very cheap to produce, very cheap to make. So all you had to do was put it out there to see if the landing would stick. But a lot of those shows were just crap. But as a matter of fact, there's an excellent 2-part docuseries on Netflix about Jerry Springer. If you grew up in that era about Jerry Springer, even didn't know anything about him, that's must-see TV because you get the behind the scenes of the insanity that they brought to the screen, which is also insanity. So when you look at those type of programming back then, and go back to what Rob said, we were all on one accord. There was a slogan that NBC used to have, must-see TV, and that's where that slogan that come from, because it seemed like everybody will be at the television sets at a certain time, no matter what time zone you were, obviously, and you watch the same thing. So nowadays it's all scattered all over the place, and it to some degree it's great, but it always comes with a price. So are we still cohesively together on this, or are we a bunch of rugged individuals? So that you could pick and choose when I go the rugged individual part, because the evolution of television to some degree could be a de-evolution depending on how you look at it. And so again, depending where we get information from, we get your entertainment from, and I totally agree with Rob. The Irrational is brilliant. I watch that and recorded DVR all the time. I think Jesse L. Martin should get some sort of Emmy because he nails the character from the standpoint of, and the first time it for me, having seen television over the years, where you see everybody of different races, different backgrounds, different creeds in these episodes of The Irrational. And that to me more is the microcosm of our country, not to just one particular race.
And don't forget Montel Williams and the Arsenio Hall show.
Oh, well, Arsenio was lightning fantastic. Yes. I mean, Arsenio changed the game.
Yeah.
And Montel Williams was always one of my favorites. Real quick, he used to have this psychic on named Sylvia Brown. Yeah. And Sylvia Brown was a psychic that came on once a month. Quick story behind that. He had her on as the first guest, and it just said during the episode, "I do not believe what you're saying." All these type of things. So she said, "Okay." She predicted his multiple sclerosis and predicted him being divorced, and both came true. And ever since then, he had her back on the show. So go figure.
Wow.
Yeah, and before I say something about what you're referring to as about TV there, Nihar, do you want to respond to that or add anything to that, like the different types of eras of TV and everything else you remember? Can you hear me, Nihar? I was asking you, do you remember anything else about different eras of TV, like we were just talking about? I'm not sure if Nihar can hear me. But what I was trying to say was,
do you remember anything about
like different eras of TV, like of how different. Can you explain to Nihar what you were just talking about, Chris? I'm sorry, I lost track there. Like, can you put
just like different eras. Yeah, like different eras of television. Like, what do you remember about the different eras of television and things like that? Like your favorite era of television. Like,
Thank you.
I don't know. I mean, I just remember like some of the stuff I was into. I mean, I guess I went from like kid shows to maybe like, I don't know, the Saturday morning cartoons, which I guess was through
Oh yeah.
Boomerang, maybe Hanna-Barbera, that kind of thing.
So,
And then and then I guess also around that time, a lot of like the Disney Channel shows that maybe some of us had grew up on were also really big.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, and then I don't know. I mean, I guess different sitcoms came and went. I mean, as far as eras go, I mean, I just know like what I used to watch. I mean, I can't really like define any solid era.
Well, see, you grew up. You grew up in the golden era. Since you were born in like 93, 94, you're talking
Mhm.
about like the Rugrats. You're talking about Hey Arnold. You're talking
Yes, Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network,
You're talking about
Ed and
you're
Eddie.
talking about the golden age of Cartoon Network. You're talking about just like some of the greatest cartoons, the Animaniacs. We're still
Yeah.
watching
Johnny Bravo.
Scooby Doo in the 90s. Yeah, we're talking about just like some great stuff. And then around that time, the Boondocks come out around the middle 2000s. You still have Nickelodeon, who is still really doing good things. And no matter who you are, no matter what age you are, That's So Raven came about. So I mean, you grew up in the golden age. It's the golden age of Disney, and Nickelodeon and all that different type of television.
yeah, and like Saturday morning cartoons were a big thing back then, and now it's not really a thing anymore.
It's not really a thing. No.
No.
It was probably it probably was a thing for I want to say even before our time. I mean, probably like it's probably been a thing since like the 50s or 60s.
Yeah. Chris, how long did
50s
the
all the way
ceremony?
until at least maybe mid 2000s.
Okay, that answered my question. Now, also with nowadays, there's not really a lot of great TV shows out there anymore because all we watch nowadays really is sports and maybe some movies here and there that people only get through the digital, not physical, and that's all we watch now. And also, here's another thing: social media has taken over television. It's all streaming services now. I mean, people are watching nothing but YouTube, nothing but reels on social media. It's a whole different ballgame.
Even
Netflix.
yeah. Even Netflix
It's a
is
whole-
kind of having a hard time keeping up with YouTube, and I mean we could go into a whole thing about TikTok. I mean, with the whole ban and all that, but still, short format is steadily surpassing long format in a lot of areas.
But Chris said something earlier that resonates. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. What are the consequences of this? Because I get it. We want shorter things. We want shorter songs, shorter movies. But is that really helping?
As my thing
really
with
helping us
Elapsed
long-term?
Suites, I'm getting a little bit frustrated with. So I have been noticing a lot of new songs. If I had to think how long songs are being played on the radio, I think I was kind of picking up maybe a few years ago that it's like, wait, this was only like what 2 minutes and 35 seconds, something like that. Most songs aren't that long. Then
No.
I think they were probably like. So songs have been starting to be like altered for the radio to be shorter than they normally were.
Yeah.
But I just did the summer cool beats back in August, and maybe half or a little bit more than half of the songs I had done from the European based on the European Billboard charts were also like 2 minutes and something. So I've been noticing that even, we're going away from the long format TV. We're going away from the 4-minute, even the 3-minute song. Like, everything is getting shorter, and and I'm not liking it.
Yeah,
Do
attention spans get shorter. That means that's just not just television, folks. That's gonna start resonating in people's personal lives too. Things get shorter on television, things get shorter in live music. People have less patience, and that could be a dangerous thing. Less patience is a dangerous thing.
Less patience means like shorter attention span is a given, but I mean, just like the inability, I think it's going to go into like the inability to like slow down and understand and process things, and just like
yeah.
you want to add to that?
I don't think anything is good is going to come out of this like microwave kind of mentality that
microwave society. Yep, microwave society.
Yeah.
If I didn't know any better, I haven't listened to terrestrial radio for music in a long time, so forgive me on that one. No, don't forgive me. I'm not going to apologize for not listening to it. But the thing about it is,
I don't usually listen to radio that much unless like, it's like I'm in an Uber or I'm in a mall or something like that. Then,
but I think the reason why you have shorter songs is to make more commercial time.
Yeah,
you think about it. I mean, I used to do news on radio, and they cut the news down to like one assignment. So, for example, when I used to do news on terrestrial radio, the news segment would be about 2 minutes long. Now it's like a minute, if that. Someone got killed on the south side of Chicago. This is brought to you by Arm & Hammer. And then go right to commercial.
Yeah.
So you only get like one story and then go right to commercial. Even on television, they cut the theme songs for commercial to give more advertising time in there.
Yep. Hey guys, I got to get going. It was nice talking to you guys. I want to get back with you guys on very soon, Chris. Nihar, great talking to you guys. David, you the man, brother. I'm gonna get back with you guys soon. All right.
Thank you.
Hey, great meeting you. Take care.
Hey, Nate, nice meeting you guys. I'm gonna see you guys soon. All right.
Take care. Peace.
Yes,
all
indeed.
right now.
We'll keep in touch. So yeah, and like social media has become like, radio is also part of social media too, in a way, because with social media being part of radio, you can do radio on social media now, and it's just, what I feel like about, I was thinking about this one time ago about radio too. A little bit off topic, but I think there's a lot of commercials and commercial breaks as well in radio these days. I feel like, is it just me or am I wrong? Like there's more commercials and commercial breaks.
No, you're right, because it's come down to, obviously we live in a capitalist society, so everybody's going to make $1, things like that, but it becomes overkill. You push the commercial to the point where the product, say in the music format, has become like secondary. And its music should be first, and the two go together. It should be a balance, or used to be a balance, but nowadays it's not. See, back in the days, you used to have what we call 60-second commercials. Now you don't have them anymore on radio and television. You have 15s and 30s. Why? Because they're quicker. As long as they're quicker and to keep the attention span of the listener or viewer, that's what we go with. So those 60 seconds have been gone forever. 15s, you probably break it down to 15, 10s, and 30 seconds. So nowadays it's all compact, but you add more 30s and 10s and 15s. So the commercial breaks are way longer.
Yeah, I feel like commercial breaks are like every 15 minutes, and the commercials are like 5 minutes. On TV, it's like 2 minutes. And I mean, depending on the market, what's going to happen with the Super Bowl this year? The Super Bowl is probably going to have like 5-minute commercial breaks because that's how popular the commercials are in the Super Bowls. You know what I mean? And it's just that the commercials are, I feel like I hear more commercials than the actual show, because it's all about the money that they want.
Remember, so with cable TV, I remember something that you had hour slots, or you had 30-minute slots, and so something that was usually an hour, the actual running time of it, I think it's usually about 43 minutes, something like that. So you have an hour slot and you have a 43-minute show or whatever. So
Yeah.
then you would have,
That's
so
what I
then
noticed too.
the people running it would have to like calculate, okay, so we have 43 minutes, we have an hour, so you have 17 minutes you can dedicate to ads. So 17 is about 3 5-minute ads, something like that. So you would have,
Yeah.
so you'd be broken into like, what would that be if any of you are good
Do you
at
want to
math?
answer that, Chris?
Well, I'm not good at math, but no, you're Nihar, you're onto something completely. You're right. And
So you take,
it's
so
a
you
matter
take,
of programming clock to make sure it all fits in, obviously. So it
yeah,
won't
yeah.
seem
So
as
after like,
though-
I'm trying to think of the number. So like, let's say 15 minutes, then you have an ad, then you have another 15 minutes, then you have an ad, then you have the
Yes.
last 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and then that slot ends, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, and I just wish that, I don't know, commercial breaks are every half an hour, because, but then again, it has to be every 15 minutes because they want more advertisements, but it just stinks because we want more of the content, not the actual commercials, because who cares about commercials unless it's for the Super Bowl, and also potentially award shows, because I believe award shows like the Oscars, the Kids Awards on Nickelodeon, which I don't really watch award shows, but I bet they have more commercials too because people are tuning
I
in.
mean, I still keep up with some of them, like their holidays. So like, if when the
Yeah.
Oscars come, I'll be kind of loosely keeping up with what's going on while having my pizza. So.
Yeah.
And the Oscars,
Yeah.
But
pretty
I
much,
don't think the award, like any streaming or all that, the Super Bowl that they do now, I don't think they use the slot system anymore, so they can just put however many ads they feel like. I think, and I'm not sure.
the
What were you
Oscars,
saying,
as you know,
Chris?
has become the Super Bowl of the entertainment world. So pretty much the same format. People get up early for the Super Bowl. People get up early for the Oscars. You have all these pre-games and pre-shows and everything else. So it's pretty much the same thing. So when you look at the advertising on that, it's going to be loaded with spots. So we all know that going into it. So now
The
it's a matter
Super Bowl,
of,
as most people know it, I think is 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
3 to 4 hours around there.
right. But if you're one that factors in the pre-games before it, all the pre-shows before it, the whole day launching before you get to the Super Bowl itself, it's similar format, not the same with the Oscars. Oscars is all day thing before you get to the red carpet. They have a pre-red carpet. They have a black carpet, all before that, because everybody needs to be sponsored. So all these type of things prior to the event itself is how people continue to make their money, if not more so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also look at the All-Star games as well. They have the red carpet, events as well for the All-Star games, like the NBA coming up. I believe they do something with the red carpet. I don't know. I don't pay attention. I know baseball does that. Big events are like those type of shows, Super Bowl type shows, like you mentioned. And also as for the Super Bowl this year, I don't know if. Here's my question, Chris. Do you actually think a lot of NFL fans are gonna boycott the Super Bowl because of the Chiefs referees? Because I'll never watch. To me personally, I'm not. I don't know if I'll watch all of it, but definitely not the whole thing. I'll probably just skip it in general. But what's your thoughts about
at
that,
least
Chris?
it's not
Before
I think we've gotten away from the Brady Bowl at least for a while now. But before, like I think at
he's
least,
he's retired.
Yeah.
He's retired.
Yeah.
What-
I don't maybe 20, I forget, 21, 22, something like that. But before then, it used to be the Brady Bowl like every single year.
What's your answer to my question there, Chris? Do you actually think people are going to skip this year?
I think that any game, when you are a part of a fan of a team, you're going to call the refs and say, hey, that was a bad call. That's in any game sport whatsoever, whether it's real or not. Say, hey, that was a bad call. That was a bad call. So don't be wrong. A lot of those calls that were bad were legitimate. But again, what's at stake here, obviously, as we know, and I don't have a dog in the fight because my Bears are going through I'm having a hernia at this point, so I can't even comment on that. But from the standpoint of
At least
where
you have
we
a
are right now,
quarterback.
Oh yeah, where we are now with the Chiefs and the Eagles, yeah, we could be watching history, even going to watch it, of a possible three-peat. So that alone is going to break records and shatter all types of viewership. And people, again, if you're not even a sports fan for the Super Bowl, you might be just watching for the commercials, because again, those commercials come up and everybody's to see them for the very first time and things like that. These create in these spots.
I know people that are going to skip watching the Super Bowl and only watch the commercials. You know,
I can see that.
I know people are going to.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
It's
The referees has been so
you have
bad.
the crowd who could care less about football, and it's just the commercial bowl, if you will.
Like the people who love movies, all they want to see is the trailers, see what movies are going to be announced in 2025. That is a huge thing, and I think you guys can agree with me on that. You know, did the Super Bowl announce like video games too, Chris? Like, did they announce like what video games are coming up as well, or is this movies?
Let's see. What are you talking about? Movies in general, or just what are you talking about?
I'm asking if the Super Bowl commercials also announce what video games are going to be coming out. Did they do that as well?
Yeah, they. Again,
Okay.
the time invested in these commercials during the Super Bowl are very creative. I think one comes to mind, and everybody has their favorite. I've always loved Jeff Bridges. So when Jeff Bridges, played the dude in this particular beer commercial, and at that I went nuts, because I'm always been a fan of his work, and the whole thing about him in that role is very, very iconic, and it was done right, wasn't over the top. So I figured that was pretty cool. So again, these upcoming creative spots that cost through the roof per 30 seconds, I think it's like, I don't know who has. Somebody has the money to pay what, 30 million or more for a 30-second spot. I mean, it's amazing to me. So, but as long as it gets the message out, and of course, even on other shows like the day after, like say Good Morning America, other programs, they relive the commercial or whatever the top ranking commercials were for the Super Bowl. So that's taking a whole life of its own. So the whole thing about it is a whole big
Food,
spectacle
beer,
and
and cars.
spectator. Huh?
Food, beer, and cars.
There you go. Exactly.
What's our predictions for the Super Bowl? The Chiefs or the Eagles?
As I said before, and I just believe that you have two good teams that are obviously there. My heart bleeds for the Bills, because I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
That really was a heartbreaker, because I'm watching, Josh Allen, who is a phenomenal quarterback, and all of a sudden just disappears in that game. And then you have all these times you went up against Mahomes and you've lost. It has to work on your psyche. I admire him for just coming back year in and year out to have the stamina to do it all over again. So something has to change the organization. Maybe have to make some more personnel changes, because the Bills are right there, but some reason can't get over the hump. Once you get past that nemesis, they usually go on to win championships.
Yeah. So what's your pick? The Chiefs or the Eagles, if you had to pick one?
See, I don't have a
I
dog
plan
in the
this
fight.
one.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Chiefs.
Nihar?
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be a three. I mean, what will happen the last time the Eagles and the Chiefs faced each other? The Chiefs won, and that was their second Super Bowl in their 50-year history. No, well, the second time, the third time in over 50 years, because when they won back in 2020, that was their first Super Bowl win in 50 years, and that was the Chiefs and 49ers. That was the first Super Bowl. And then the second one, Chiefs and Eagles, that was the second Super Bowl. The third one was the 49ers. And I knew about what was going to happen to the 49ers. I knew they were going to get a bunch of injuries after they screwed up that overtime, shenanigans. I knew that was going to happen. So, now, and now it's the Eagles again. And I think it's going to be the Chiefs once again, because, it's the same Super Bowl that we saw a few years back. And I think it's going to happen again. The Chiefs for the third time in a row. I mean, it's a crazy dynasty that they're going on right now. But Mahomes is right now 29 years old. Do you think, Chris, since you're more of an NFL guy than Nihar, I think, I don't know if Nihar, you watch football a lot. But Chris, do you think that Patrick Mahomes is going to last until in his 40s?
It's possible the offensive line keeps him healthy. I mean, it's one of those things where the era of Mahomes is still going. The book has not been finished yet on his career, but he's already in the great conversation of great quarterbacks. So from what I see on the talking head programs and things like that. And for the record, I follow the NFL, but mostly I'm a basketball guy. But it's right there about neck and neck. But for the NFL conversation that we're having, the thing about it is there's nothing wrong with chasing greatness. Nothing wrong with it. I've seen people going to be talking in sports head programs, some people complaining about them having a three-peat. Are you kidding me? I mean, how can you complain about something that you could possibly are about to witness? I mean, someone who's born and raised in Chicago, and once again, myself being a basketball head, we didn't have nothing. Nothing. Let me tell a quick history. On a side note, with basketball, before Jordan got here, the team that everybody followed was a college team here in the city, the Paul Blue Demons. They were a hot commodity. They were great. That's the team we followed. We didn't follow the Bulls because the Bulls sucked wind at the time. So we followed the Blue Demons. Now then, when Jordan got here, there's a polar shift because people who follow basketball knew Jordan had the potential to be a good player. This way before he became Air Jordan that we know now. But as just Michael Jordan out of North Carolina, that was good for me at the time. And so you see what happened after that. But don't complain about championships. We had nothing. Even after the first three, even the first championship that they when they beat the Lakers in that finals, that was great because my backup team was always the Lakers with Kareem and Magic and those guys. So as a fan, don't take greatness for granted. Don't take it for granted. Just let it ride. If it happens, don't worry about it because you got a chance to be a part of history. If it doesn't, you still got back-to-back if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. So, kind of ease back on it. I don't want anything exciting about a three-peat in the NFL. Are you kidding me? It is exciting. Just the fact you just did the back-to-back is exciting. That should be, I'm telling you, that should be right there, more love for your team. And a possible thing that never been done before in the NFL, you should be behind them all the way.
Sorry, my microphone was muted. What I was trying to say was, in order to beat the Chiefs, to become the champs, gotta beat the champs. If you want to become champions of any league, you gotta beat the Chiefs in order to the champs to become the champs. That is the number one rule in all sports. Even if the defending champion is not there, it's still, I gotta beat them in some way, shape, or form. That's what college football is all about too. You gotta be satisfied of your, being your rivals in order to feel like you're actual champions because of the playoff words. I think it was Ohio State where they were upset about not being Michigan. But, even though they are national champions, they did beat, I thought they did beat Michigan. Or am I thinking about another team? I don't know. I don't remember. I've been recovering from a cold today, but I'm feeling a lot better. Stay healthy, people. It's flu season right now, so hopefully by the springtime it'll all go away. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode. I was gonna go on for another half hour or so, but I'm gonna, since this is weeknight and not a lot of people available right now with work and everything, I will try to do a 3-hour episode when the time is right for episode 200, which is coming up this summer. I don't know what I have planned for episode 200 yet, but Me and my producer will try to work things out behind the scenes with that one. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode. Chris, before I get to Nihar, what did you think of our conversations that we had here tonight in your second appearance on the show, but your first appearance of actually be panelist here live?
So I thank you for the invite. Good meeting everybody. Good meeting you, Nihar. Good meeting Rob, who was here earlier, and of course you, David, hosting. It's nice to be in an event of conversation. So I deeply appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
You're welcome, and you're welcome, my son here. And do you want to promote anything, Chris? Because I saw you were live earlier this morning, which was surprising because I thought you go live on Saturdays. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. I went on live. Usually, what I do is I'll go on live in the middle of the week. I call it the precursor into my Saturday morning show called Baseline. So Baseline, the best way to contact me is to go through Facebook and type in CHRIS, B as in broadcasting, ASD. Let me give you a warning up front. There's 6,485 Chris Bases out there. Don't worry about them. No, just get them out the way. I am the original. I've been out here for years. See, got me all choked up talking about it. I've been out here for years. When you see my face, then click on Become Friends. Get more of my information about my shows that I do. So once again, that's the best way to contact me on Facebook.
And you have anything to promote, Nihar?
My same usual channels with Quiet Dreams Hypnosis. I'm kind of waiting until I'm a little bit. I have a little bit more for Premiere Pro. I'll probably be getting back into that for a little while. I have more on Elapsed Beats, and of course check out my Cyclone board game and all my other little projects that I've been doing. So all of those as well.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this episode, and we'll be back this Friday night at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern because I want to have people at the Pacific time a chance to watch the program, and also it's our talk show, tonight's show theme, I guess you could say, for the Friday shows, and we'll definitely be back this Friday night. Hopefully, we'll get the No Deal Jackpot game sorted out because he has some technical difficulties today, but that's okay. And we will see you all this Friday night. Have a good rest of your evening, everybody.